like to wish on behalf of the Shira Hartzka Mazel Tov Heshi on the engagement of his granddaughter, the Shidduch B'Eli Yafa. Live by spice and then Yisrael L'Shem Teferes. Okay, Baruch Hashem. And I expected something tonight. Epis something. Epis nothing, right? Exactly what we got. Yeah, we got nothing. We got even US. Okay, says the Mishnah. Yeah, I'm recording. Hey. The Mishnah on Pei. Okay, guys, so tonight it's one big sugya. We're going to do a blot and a half. We're going to do a blot and a half. It's one long sugya. It's a sugya we had in Masechta Ksubis, and it was on Daf Nun Chesed and Tes. So a little bit outside, a little reminder. We said that the husband, right, has to provide for his wife. According to one opinion, it's deraisa, share ksus v'oina, share would be food, right? That's deraisa. Another is that tachas, the fact that he gives him his zaynis, he would get the ma'aseh yedeha. He would give him his zaynis, he would get the ma'aseh yedeha. So either it's a takanas ksuba that you feed her, and you get in kind, you get her the workings, whatever she makes, up to a certain point. Kamei sloyim of shesi wool or something like that you would get. Anything more than that, the meiser, if he goes ahead and he gives her a ma kesef for spending money, he would get that as well. Good. So the question is, the ma'aseh yedeha, who if he doesn't, who does it belong to? L'chayra, it belongs to him. L'chayra, it belongs to him. So it's in his jurisdiction, the ma'aseh yedeha, right? It's in his jurisdiction. Because tachas mezainis, since he's feeding her as a tnai ksuba, he would get the ma'aseh yedeha. And the Maisa, let's say she made a little extra more than the amount that of 5 slayim, then he would give her spending money, a ma kesef, that's a sixth of a dinar, a silver coin, and this was just chazar that we all remember from Daf Nuntes in Ksubis. The only reason I remember is because I went back, I listened to it, so don't feel bad. But it may ring a bell or something that we're discussing. Right? So Ksubis, yeah, and the Reb Huna said the name of Rav Chiddush that what a woman is capable of saying, "Ein nizaynis v'nei oisa." In other words, don't go ahead and feed me, and I won't give you my siyada. Don't go ahead and feed me, and I won't give you my siyada. So the sugya we're going to have today is a woman goes ahead and makes a neder that the husband can't have enough from her. What's the din? So the first case says the Mishnah. We have to pay hayom and aleph. Koinim she'eni oisa. Anything that I make should be koinim al piaba. That my father, like my father's, my ma'aseh, anything I work will be asa. Avicha, your father, my father-in-law. Achi, my brother. Achicha, your brother, my brother-in-law. Any yachal hafer. He's not able to be made for a pirish. The only two nedarim that a husband can take off are what? Ini nefesh and beino lebeina. And this is neither. This is not ini nefesh, right? This is not beino lebeina. So therefore, there would not be necessary to go ahead and remove this neder. Any yachal hafer, right? However, this is what we need, and this is the discussion of the Gemara. She'eni oisa al pich, whatever I do, right? Anything I need to do, then anything that I do is usher on you. So he's asking ma'aseh yedeha. Then what? Ain't it tzarich lahafir? He doesn't have to be made for, because it's meshubit. Ha ma'aseh yedeha a meshubit. Since you metaken tachas mezainis ma'aseh yedeha, he doesn't have to take it off. It's not in her jurisdiction to asa because it doesn't belong to her. You can't make something asa that doesn't belong to you. So this doesn't belong to her, and therefore you can make it asa. Okay? Rabbi Kiva says a yafa. In fact, you have to be made for it. So Tanakama says not. Rabbi Kiva says yes. Shemet hadif alav yosim and aroi. Perhaps you'll get a little more. Perhaps there'll be more. There'll be hadafa, and that's the meiser. Rabbi says Yafer Shema Yigrashena V'Teya Surala. So we have 3 shitas. One, again, that the case is the woman is asking ma'aseh yedeha on her husband. Tanakama says you don't have to take it off. Rabbi Kiva says you have to take it off because maybe you make a little more. Rabbi Yossi says you have. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri says you have to take it off. Maybe you'll get divorced. What's as far as the machlokes? Just turn the page. We'll go back. Let's see the Ran inside again. As much as I can, I like to do the Rans inside. Says the Rabbi Kiva Oma Yafa, second line from the top. Shemetadev lav yosim in a roila. The Ksav Rabbi Kiva is of the opinion that ha'adafa, whatever more she makes than the 5 slayim, is didahi. It belongs to her. And since it belongs to her, the chayla not nidara. Her neder is chal on it. The haloi nishtabed lei, because it's not meshubet to him. Umishum hachi tzarch lahaf. It says Rabbi Akiva, you have to take that off. Umiyu matzi meifa, he is able to take it off. Mishum devar m'shem min al that hadafa would be considered that something's between him and her. So now the Tanakama says you don't have to. Tanakama lechayish lohachi. Mishum the sphere that hadafa nami didei have. Not only is the Maaseh Yedeha belong to the husband, but the hadafa also belong to the husband. And just like the Maaseh Yedeha, she can't asa the hadafa. Okay, so that explains the machloikis between the guys, the Tanakama and Rabbi Akiva. The Tanakama holds that what everything belongs to him. Side the Maaseh Yedeha is meshubet to him, and side the hadafa for the Markesef is meshubet to him. And since it's meshubet to him, she doesn't have the jurisdiction to go ahead and asrit. Therefore, he doesn't have to take it off. It never was a neder. Says Rabbi Akiva, the Maaseh Yedeha, it belongs to him, but the hadafa belongs to her. Since the hadafa belongs to her, he has to be mefer. Since the hadafa belongs to her, he has to be mefer. What about Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri? Let's see what he holds. The Ran. Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri savar Amar Yafa, you have to take it off. Shemi Yigar Shena Petei Asura Lach Saloi. Be asked to go ahead and return. The Svira Leil Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is of the opinion Kitana Kama. That nami the balhavi. So it's all his. So really, he shouldn't have to take off anything. But why does he have to take it off? Hilkach mishum adaf ain't circle off there. What's the reason you have to take it off? Shema yigashena v'yanedachal mishe shemishkarsha ain't mishumedis because when he divorces her, no longer is it mishubed l'maisri yedeha v'teyasur lach saloi, and then as a result, will be asked to take it back. L'fishenesa b'maisri yedeha. Because then Hamaisi Yedeha would asa the Shalei Lizar, Shalei Titachen, or Shalei Ta'afeh. In other words, if he's going to divorce her, the ned will be chal. If the ned is chal, he won't be able to take her back, right? Why? Because it's not possible to live with a woman under those circumstances. She won't be able to cook for you, won't be able to clean for you, and enter chayina. Okay. The Tanakama Poligo Lahad Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri. Maybe that's not the far helps once you divorce. It's not no neder at all. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri is mechadish, guys, that the neder that you have to take off now, because even though it's not chal now, it'll be chal afterwards when you get divorced. Remember, trying to comment disagrees. Okay, so outside, externally, three shittas, guys, three shittas. A woman goes ahead and makes a neder. Koinim my siyoda. Whatever workings that I make is koinim to you. Says the Tanakama, you do not have to take it off. Why? Because it's not hers. It belongs to him. She can't go ahead and answer it. Says Rabbi Akiva, she can't answer the Maaseh Yedeha, but she could answer the hadafa, because the hadafa, what you make more for the more silver kesef that you give, that you're going to go ahead and get anything extra in the 5 slayim worth of shesi wool that she has to produce for her husband or sell whatever that's worth. That amount belongs to her. You could answer, therefore necessary to take off. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri says no. That doesn't. You don't worry about the Maaseh Yedeha. You don't worry about the hadafa. You worry about something else. You worry about if he divorces her, then it'll be chal. So to avoid a future circumstance, we take off the neder now. The whole crux of the Gemara, guys, is going to be Shmuel passing like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Let's therefore examine the sheet of Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Now, we know a person cannot. There's a concept of being makne a davar shelo b'olam, bequeathing, giving over something that's not in the world. You have a Paris. Paris is not in the world. Unless you hold the tree is in the world, the Paris is not in the world. You mak the Paris. You can't be mak the Paris. They're not there. It's not there. You have to go ahead. There has to be a chalais. Maaseh Yedeha, it's not in the world. There's nothing there. Whatever she's going to make, but it's not in the world. Good. Secondly, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, maybe Gerushin is not in the world. It's not in the world. In other words, you didn't divorce her. In other words, this whole possibility is contingent upon what? Something that's not in the world. The Gerushin is not in the world. And neither is the Maaseh Yedeha in the world. So when Shmuel passes like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, that what? You have to take it off. Al Korchach, you have to inform. Why does he hold? A person could be magdish, koinim is making hegdish. Davar shelo b'olam. That's the thrust of the Gemara, guys. That's the thrust of the Gemara. You see, from Yochim and Nuri, a person could be magdish. Again, viewing koinim as an act of hegdish, which it is, right? Koinim is a carbon, lashon carbon. You could be magdish, davar shel b'olam. Says the Gemara. Inside, says the Gemara. Amar Shmuel, says Shmuel. Halacha Rabbi Yochim and Nuri. The halacha is in conjunction with Rabbi Yochim and Nuri. Obviously, remember, you mean to say the Kasava Shmuel's of the opinion, Adam magdish davar shel b'olam. An Adam could be magdish something that's not in this world. Look at the Taisus, guys. The last Taisus on the page. Remember the Sava Shmuel. Adam magdish davar shel b'olam. She'adayin like Gersha. A, wanting to divorce her. V'adayin l'b'olam. I see a deha. B, and I see a deha. Then come to the world. Shehim magdashata. You mean magdish it now? Gewaldig, right? So I was beautiful. There's two things you have to deal with.
But Gershon is different because the Gershon is there. But the Maisi there there was no Maisi there yet. But Gershon, he has the opportunity to at any given time to give the gift. It's there. The opportunity is there.
Opportunity is always there.
No,
Opportunity for food growing, opportunity for a job is there. I'm going to say, if she has a job, it's still not boloid, the money's not there. In other words,
he has the star that he can.
Good, because the money might come there. She may not come. Mitzias is not there at all. In other words, you're saying that suppose girl is divorced your wife, you can shoot your wife also. I don't mean that. I mean, I saw some people smiling there, like. I think we should start the share over again. Okay. Anyway. Now you understand. Again, you're magdish it now. So here's the problem. You're right; it could happen, but the kedushin's now. The chalois is now, Yankel. The chalois is be made for now. Maybe you can divorce her, but the divorce isn't here yet. Davar shel b'olam means it's not here right now.
I understand that. I don't understand it. Because
I don't know. You're sitting there. It's so double push it. Okay, I'm not going to convince myself that yelling at you is to make you understand. But you're missing the boat. No. I'll go over again. One more time. A davar shel b'olam means the following now. I'm taking something and I'm being magdish it. Good. Is there money in this world to be hegdish? No, she didn't work yet. Is there the chance of perhaps I'll divorce her? Sure, there's a chance I'll divorce her. But right now, that divorce is not here in the world. It's not here. And that's it. And you're going on the now. The now, she's not divorced. Okay, I don't know. And says the Gemara, remember, he's telling me that what? That Ksav Shmuel, Adam Magdish Davar Shel b'olam. Uriminu al yeshu stira. Ha-magdish ma'aser yedei ishtai. This is the Gemara we had in Ksubas. A person is magdish the workings of his wife's hands. In other words, so this is he's being magdish a davar shel b'olam. This is just like what? A neder, guys. Mamish, it's a synonymous case. It's a parallel case. One, you're magdish davar shel b'olam, and now you're going ahead and you made a neder. So on something that's not in the world. So if I can prove to you from here that Shmuel holds that ain't the magdish davar shel b'olam, you have a stira. Of course, in our Mishnah clearly it says like halacha like Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, so he's holding you could be magdish, correct? Good. So now, Amid Beis. She works and she eats. She can eat it. It is not what? It is not kodesh. She eats. It's not kodesh. It's not kodesh because it's not chal. But anything extra, that extra of the 5 shlayim, Remeya on my hegdish. Remeya says will be kodesh. Rabbi Yochanan Sandla Omer chulin. Rabbi Yochanan Sandla says it's chulin. Rabbi Shmuel loch Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. The halach is like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. Now, why does Rabbi Yochanan Sandla say what it's chulin? Because ain't other magdish davar shel b'olam, and Shmuel is holding like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. Alma ain't other magdish davar shel b'olam. So you have a stira. By hegdish, he's holding like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. It's chulin. It's not chal. Yet by Nedarim, he's holding it is chal. Nedarim is no difference. The Ma'aseh Yedeh is not in the world. The chitema, what are you going to say? Ki kam halach Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Allah hadafu the kamar again. Shmuel, look at the brisa, guys. Hamagdish ma'aser deha, not kodesh. Vehamaiser, clause number 2, but the extra is, and Rabbi Yochanan Sandler saying it's not. Now, it's not going on? Is it going? Maybe it's going on the second clause, the hadafa clause. It's not going back on what? On the ma'aser deha, because a person could be magdish that. right? It can't be Magdashtat. So it could be Magdashtat. But it says no, you can't say that. Then it should say don't leave it ambiguously open that you possibly can make the mistake to say that ain't no the Magdashtavish Olam. Go ahead and say it openly. The Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri ba'dafa, but I disagree with him in my Siyadeha because he holds you can't and I hold you could. Or Inami, again, we're going to go with the gears of the Ran. Inami ain halacha Rabbi Akiva, who says that what you have to be made for. Right? Look at the round, guys. Ain't halacha Rabbi Akiva. It's about when the lines get wide, about 8 lines down. For ha'asi shapir, then it will be very good. The mashma, the less hilchas like Rabbi Akiva memidi. He doesn't hold like him at all. Loy b'mad ama yafer. Not that you need hafara. The ain't sarich hafara mishum the ain't other magdash tavish labalaylam. Not in addition, loy ma'id the kamer the hadafa di dahave. The lesser ella the balhave. In other words, Rabbi Akiva, you'd hear 2 dinim, guys. Watch. Rabbi Akiva says you have to be meifer, right? Amat. Of course, you worry about the hadafa. Yeah. So now you'd hear 2 things. If you say the Allah is like Rabbi Akiva, you hear that what? The Allah, I disagree with hadafa, and you also hear, why didn't you say that? So obviously it must be not going on the hadafa. Therefore must not be going on hadafa. It's going on what? On the Maisa Yedaha. And it's schulin, ain't the Magdashtav Shalom, and Shmuel says Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. So you got a kasha. In by Nedarim, Shmuel holds that Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. That what? That Magdashtav Shalom. And by Hegdish, he holds like Rabbi Yochanan Sandler that it's schulin. Then ain't the Magdashtav Shalom.
Where's Nazir come in? I'm just curious.
What?
Nazir goes like the Dharma Hektish. If you could say that my child is born, let's say Nazir, right?
What?
Let's say that my child's born, he becomes a Nazir first, let's say. Is that Davish I'm just curious.
No, the Chalos is going to be when he comes in the world, not now. You have to remember, you're missing the boat. It's not that the Chalos is later. The Chalos is now. Ain't the Magdash. That's where I think you're missing it, Yankel. Ain't the Magdash Davish means it's now. To say that my child will be a Nazir when he's born, so the Chalos is not now. The Chalos is when he's born.
It's later on.
It's later on. Magdash Davish means now. You're being Magdash something that the Hegdish is now, even though it's not here. That's the whole Chiddush. And then the Gerishin, now you understand, the Gerishin is not there. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Ella Amar Rabbi Yosef. So guys, we need a new teretz, guys. Good, we need a teretz. Shiny kainamos. Hoyel v'adam oisa peris chavero alav. Oisa nami davish labayla oilam alav. Now, by koinim, I could say, even though the peris are not in my rishus, I could say that what? That it's also. I can ask the Benji's Paris on me. I can ask the Yankel's Paris on me. I could do that. It's not in my rishus. I could do it. What's the chesaron of Davish Labayla Oilam? It's not in my rishus. It's not. In other words, vis-a-vis you, it's in your rishus, but vis-a-vis me, it's the same thing as Davish Labayla Oilam. It's not in my rishus. It's not in my jurisdiction. In what is physically not in this world, in another world, physically it's not in my rishus, but it's not there. So says Rabbi Yosef, since you have that prat, that you could go ahead and be asa something that's not in your rishus, you can also go ahead and asa something that's not in this world. That's the svara. Masha'im by hegdish, which is not a dinner kainim, that you can't do. That would be a teretz to the stira. By kainim, Shmuel holds like a Yochanan ben Nuri. Why? Because why? Just like I can asa something that's not on my rishus, right? And that it's not on my rishus, says the Ran, is similar to what? Something that's not in the oilam. The same. No, it's the same chesaron of Davish Labayla Oilam is being in someone else's rishus. If you're going to focus like Rabbi Rosenzweig is right now, thinking one thing is physically here and one thing physically is not here, and that's why I'm a good free safety and a mind reader. But the bottom line is, and a great mechanech, if I say so myself, but you're missing the boat. The mila is vis-a-vis this guy. This is if this is not in this world at all, or it belongs to Benji, vis-a-vis me, it's the zelbezach. So it has nothing to do with the physicality. It has to do with my bilus. So therefore, it's very geschmack. Since I could go ahead and answer this, even though it's not in my rishus, that's as far. That's as far. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, so
it's like it's not my olam. It's not my rishus. That means if it's not in my rishus.
So yeah, it's not. It's vis-a-vis me. It's nishta. Vis-a-vis me, it's nishta. Okay, so that's what Rabbi Yosef wants to say. Allah Rabbi Yosef, shiny kanamis, Payal b'adam oisa peris chaver love oisa nami davar shlo baloilam. Amalei Abaya. Bishleima adam oisa peris chaver love. Shay adam oisa peiroisa val chaveroi. Can I asa my peris and Benji? I can asa peris Benji. I mean, here's pshat, guys. There's two possibilities. One, it's my thing. It's one, it's mine, and two, it's in my rishus. In other words, it belongs to me. If it belongs to Benji, I still belong to myself. I have rishus over here. I have bilus over here. Good. So even if I'm missing one of the two, it works. Again, the ultimate thing is your magdish, your own object. So you have both milas. One, it's in your rishus, and two, it's you. If you're missing one of those milas, either one, it still works. What's the mila? If it's in Benzi's rishus, I'm missing what? I'm missing. It belongs to me, right? And just as I can asa that Benji on myself, I can ask myself on Benji, even though it's not his. Okay, so it says. So that's what the man's telling us. Bishlema adam oisa peris chaveroi love. Shari adam oisa peris al chaveroi. Eliyase davish lebala olam al chaveroi. You should say that what a person can aser a davish lebala al chaveroi. And guys, in that case, you're missing both. A, it's not in your rishus, and B, it's not. It's not. You have on the Bible over it. Shari ein adam oisa peris chaveroi al chaveroi. That would be an analog to asering the peris of your chaver on your chaver, which of course you can't do because you're missing both. It's not you and it's not your friends. So I mean, it's your friends. I mean, it's not your rishus. That's the way the Ran explains it, guys. In other words, the easiest thing to explain is when you have both yourself and in your rishus. Either it's not in my rishus but myself, or in my rishus and not myself. Right? I can control myself. I can ask the Benjis, or I can ask myself on Benji. But I can't ask the Benjis on Benji, and that's what you want to do over here. What do you want to do? You want to asa, the woman wants to asa what? She wants to asa the Maisa Yedeha on her husband. So, right, l'chayra. So, right.
Maisa Yedeha which belongs to him.
Right, that's why you can't do it. And that's why it shouldn't work. Ella Amar Rav Huna, read Rav Yeshua, boy Meres, Yakdishu Yodai Laseyan. It's not speaking about what she does make, it's speaking about her hands to make. And the Yadayim, the Yadayim ha'isnu ba'olam, her hands are in the world. So this is a shtickle like Yankel in his mind was working with Gerushin, that there's a shtar Gerushin in this world. So the physical hands are in the world. So good, what they're going to bring about is not here. I quoted, I was listening to the Daf Ksubis, I quoted the beginning of a mafkid. The Gemara says, can a person be magded of Shlabalam? So it says, even if you could, that you can't be magded and Davish Balalam, there's a shita that since the tree is in the world, even though the pear is not in the world, you could, because it's like one step closer. So with your hands over here, it's one step closer to the actual action because your hands are in this world. So you said over here that a person, you magdash yadayim sayim and yadayim in the world. Now, what are you going to say? When you say that, hachi kitsha, would it be kodesh? But mishabim yadel lebal, right? Good guys, you took care of davish lebal oilam, right? You didn't take care of the fact that it still belongs to the husband. It's still, even it's in this world, but how can she ask for something that belongs to the husband that you'd have to be made for? How can you ask for something that belongs to the husband you should be made for? And for the Gemara, so she says when we get divorced. When we get divorced, so he has to make for it. For the Gemara, right? The Lashon of Nedarim is Meshana, right? It was just a little bit. In other words, it's a dayan l'bala olam. So good. In other words, good. She said about her hands. Her hands are meshubah to the husband. So she's speaking about gerushin. But I said gerushin is so good. Good. You took care of what of the Maisa Yadayim part because it's very geschmack. Like the Taisus. There was two chesroinis in Davish Lavelayim. One of the two chesroinis. One the Maisa Yadaha one in the world, and two the gerushin was in the world. Why did you take care of by answering the hands? The Maisa Yadaha. Why didn't you take care of The Gerusha. That's like Fred the Gemara. It's Meduik in the Gemara. It's Meduik and very Geshmak in the Gemara. Hashtami aloy megarsha. So therefore, guys, umemai the chiomer hachim mishani. It's a dayan labaloy. It's still it's a very Geshmak. So Rav Ila says Rav Ila umay ilu amel chaveiroi. The person will say the following: Sadazu shani moichelacha. This sada that I own right now, that I'm selling to you, the shik achachenimimcha. When I buy it back from you, Tagdish, it should be Kodesh. Again, me loy kitcha, would it not be Kodesh? The Sada guys is in the Rishus of the Magdish. He has it right now. Good. At the time of him being right Magdish, it belongs to him. So too the woman's hands are in his Rishus in the time of the Kainim. The woman's hands are under now. What's the kasha? That the woman's hands are in the hands of the husband's Rishus, right? The husband owns the Maisi Yadeha, not the actual hands. Okay, so l'chayra, it's similar. Rabbi Ela says, and again, he says not because of any reason. Ran points out he's not quoting a Mishnah or a Tosefta or a Brisa. He's saying his own svara. In this case, the Sada, which is in the Rishus of the Magdish, even though at the time that at the time he's being Magdish to the season Rishus, then he sells it. So too the woman's hands, even though they're in her Rishus at the time of Koinim, right? Okay. So Uma ilu oimel chavera sadazu shani moichlecha l'shekachenam imcha tagdish mila kitcha. So who are din that this hands which are in the shus of the husband, right? Which will be in the shus of the husband, also should be able to kodesh. Maskal of Yirmiyah. Rav Yirmiyah asked the following kasha. Maskal of Rav Yirmiyah. Freg Rav Yirmiyah kasha. What does Rav Yirmiyah say? Me dummy. How can you compare being magdish a field after you buy it back, and that it should be kodesh based upon the chalois that you said before, to a woman that you said that her that you're asking Maisi Yadari after she gets divorced? Sadazu shani moichlecha has to be yadahu. Right now, at this point in time, he can be magdish because it's his. But isha biyada lahagdish Maisi Yadaha. In other words, the woman, when you're magdish, the woman can't be magdish and Maisi Yadaha. It's not hers. One more time. What's that tushta? Just like a person can be magdish a field that's going to leave his rishus, so to a woman can be magdish Maisi Yadaha. That's after she gets divorced, when it leaves her rishus. What's the analogy? Right now, at this point in time, if the field is in his rishus, so he can be magdish on futures. Right now, the Maisi Yadaha is not in her rishus, so this is not a good analogy at all. One more time. A sada which I'm selling to you, that when I buy it back from you should be kodesh, mila kitsha. So who I did an isha, even though right now, so right now I'm making a neder that when it leaves your rishus, it should be kodesh. Good. Says the Gemara, mila kitsha. Maskal of Yomi, 1 second, me dummy. Sada zushani meichlecha hashta biyada, who right now it's in his hands to go ahead and be magdish. Isha biyada lahagdish Maisi Yadaha. Is it possible? It's not comparable. Why? Because right now she can't be magdish Maisi Yadaha. Says the Gemara. So halay dami ella. So what's the analogy? That this is the chesaron. Ella, what you said is like dami ella. A woman saying that her Maisi Yadaha is chali after the divorce is similar to what? That I sold to you already. That's out of my rishus. That when I take it back from you, it should be kodesh. Me kitsha. Outside guys, look at me. I sell my field to Dak. I say Dak, and now it's in Dak's rishus. I said this is kodesh when I buy it back from you. Hey, it belongs to Dak. It doesn't belong to me. I can't do that anymore. So your comparison that you tzushtel to Isha, guess what? The Isha is saying what? That it's not, she's being magdish something that's not in her rishus because the husband has the Maisi Yadaha after the divorce. So just like if the feel like I was magdish in Dak's hand doesn't work, so to the neder that she's magdish when the Maisi Yadaha is in the Baal's hand shouldn't work. So back to the original question. It's a davar sh'labalem. It's not here in this world. How can she be magdish it? So you want to make as a maskul of Papa. Me dummy. He's asking Rav Yirmiyah that he wants to restore it. This case that you said that an Isha that comes to go ahead to ask the Koinim after she gets divorced to be magdish sada after I sold it to Dak. Gabi Zvina psiko milsayu. When I sold it to Dak, it's gone out of my rishus completely. Everything. I had no jurisdiction whatever. But Gabi Isha mi psika milsa, even though she always has her hands. Her physical hands have always belonged to her. The Maaseh doesn't, but the physical hands do. In other words, the analogy that Rav Yirmiyah is asking on Rav Ila is not a great analogy. Okay, what was the analogy? Just like when I sold it to Dak, and I was magdish by Dak, it's not kodesh. Who would then the isha when she makes a neder on the Maaseh but that belongs to the husband should not be kodesh after the gerushin. Says Papa, what's the analogy? When I sold it, when I sold it to Dak, I'm out of the picture. You're stirring, you're gone. Be quiet. You can't do anything. The isha, what is he saying? That the Maaseh Yadeha, that she's being magdish now, should not be chal. Her hands never left the rishus. There was a shaykhus to her hands, so it's not comparison. So what's it comparable to? The following: Haloidami eloloim lechaderai sadazu shemishkanti lach. I owe you money. I'm giving you collateral. I'm giving you a field as collateral. That when I'm payder it for you, tigdash should be kaidesh. Me loy katsha would not be kaidesh. So this is the analogy to the woman. Let's go through it. This is good. Yes, we don't say that word. And so, guys, geschmack. The field that you're holding in your jurisdiction because of the chayiv that I owe. So the field still belongs to me, but I don't have it right now. Good. The woman's hands belong to her, but she doesn't have it right now. When I'm paid that field, when I get divorced, that field should be kaidesh, the nether should be chal.
I don't like it because I'll tell you why. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Because by gerushin, the lady doesn't control the get. The man controls the pinion on the field. By him being paid in the field, he controls the pinion. The lady doesn't.
No, you're stuck on technicalities. It does no. I'm sorry. Again, you're right. Again, technicalities are technicalities, but the bottom line is the following: if you want to make a comparison between fields and women, this is the analogy. What's the analogy? Jurisdiction, bilis. Again, how you end that's a technicality. But again, maybe I'll never be able to be paid. In your case, maybe I'll never get money together to be paid. I mean, I can, I can answer your technicality, right? Good, Baruch Hashem. So it's very geschmack. So you want to compare now, just like in the case, if you owe someone money, and you give the field as collateral, and you magdish the field when you pay to the field, it works. Who are then the isha who says koinim on Maaseh Yadeha, which is not in her jurisdiction right now, but eventually will be the act of pedia analogous to gerushin should work. I didn't tell you it was an easy Gemara. Okay, says the Gemara l'chayr it should work. Says the Gemara Vaita. What? Maskal Rav Shisha Braid Ravidi to Rav Papa mi dummy the nisha to the field. Sada. Now that I went ahead and convinced Yankel, the Gemara goes ahead and gives Yankel shluga. Says the Gemara, mi dummy sada biyada liftaisa. He can go ahead and do it any times he wants, as long as he gets the money together. But Isha biyada leskarsha, she can't go ahead and do that, right? So l'chayra, it's fine, right? So halei damya el loim lechaveroi sadazu shemishkanti lach le'esashanim. The sada that I gave you for 10 years, the cheshef denim imcha tigdash. When I'm paid it, it'll be what? Be kodesh. In other words, by extending it for 10 years, the analogy is to a gerushin, which is on. You can't finish because it's not beyond to do. In other words, I can't do it right now. So the 10 years, and obviously the shlugup is going to be, but eventually gerushin may never happen, and it still will happen. But an analog right now is the fact that by giving it a longer time span, even though it's going to be kodesh after that time span, so to a woman, she asa the whole time she's when the gerushin takes place, even though it's not biyadol skarsha. Maskal Ravashi mi dami is a comparable, but by the field, Hassan by the field, kits. There's at least there's a set it's a set time, 10 years. But Isham is like Kitsusa, then maybe they'll be forever. So therefore the Gemara went ahead, and it was Doicha, Rav Papa Rabbi Yeshua, that said that speaking where that you went ahead and you were magdish the hands. So back to the original steer. Okay, let's go back. Let's chayza l'nyanai. What happened over here? He said in our Mishnah by Nedarim that Rabbi Yochanan Nuri says you have to take off the neder. You have to take off the neder because a person can be magdish the davar shel ba'olam. Obviously, if you have to take off the neder, it must, even though it might see it is not in this world, you'd have to take off the neder. Okay. Yet he says by the act of hegdish, then but he agrees with Rabbi Yochanan Sandler that not. So until now, the focus has been totally on the Nedarim, correct? And it will stay that way. So we wanted to eventually say that what, even though the Maisi does not in the world, but the hands are in the world, and we try to figure out why would that be. So even though the hands are in the world, the gerushin is not in this world. So we try to give a bunch of cases. Well, we see other cases where the act of hegdish takes place, even though there's a chesaron. The first chesaron was there wasn't a myrishus. The second chesaron it was the X amount. It was a mashkin. Then that third case it was a mashkin for a longer period of time, and we failed. So right now we never answered the stira. We slugged up that teretz of Rav Huna Bar Yeshua speaking about the hands, and we don't have a teretz right now to the stira in Shmuel. So now the Gemara is coming to answer the stira in Shmuel. It says Gemara Maskular Ravashi mi dami. Okay, we did that already. Amid Beis Ella Amar Ravashi shiny kainamis. You know what's different by the hegdish from kainim? Kainim is different. Kainamis, shiny kainamis. The kedushas haguf dami. That it's like kedushas haguf, and kedushas haguf has no pigment. We spoke about a few times throughout Shas, many times. If you're magdish your house, you can be paid to your house, whatever that worth of the house is, and you had a fourth, you had a quarter, good fifth. If you go ahead and magdish an animal for a carbon, you can't go ahead and be paid unless it has what? The difference one is one has kedusha has domim. It's kodesh for its intrinsic value, and the other one says kedusha haguf. Kedusha haguf means has what? It has value in itself. The body itself is that value, So you can't do that. Kainamis makes whatever you do into kedusha haguf, and therefore it's mafkia midei shibud. So therefore, even though a hands are meshubah to the husband, since she said the lashon kainim, that would override, and therefore that would force the need for hafara. Even though, no, pidyon ben is kedusha's dominant. So over here, we have three cases that are mafkia midei shibud. Says the Gemara. What are the three cases that are mafkia midei shibud? Uchid Rava, hegdish, the act of being magdish something, chametz on Pesach, the shichror, and shichror mafkia midei shibud. So therefore, if you say that you're magdish, let's say you made your shar an apaitiki, you said that what the Baal Chayv collecting that shar. In other words, you lend the guy $10,000. He goes, where's my collateral? He goes, there's my prize bull. The prize bull is worth $10,000. Good. Goes, and that's that apaitiki apot heikoi. That's what you're going to collect from. You magdish the prize bull. Guess what? Even though there was a shibud on that animal from the halva, mafkia midei shibud. Chametz. This sort of chametz, mafkia midei shibud. If you meshubah to pay somebody, hegdish the act of koinim, mafkia midei shibud. Therefore, what's akasha? You want to know the difference. Really, Shmuel holds eino the magdish lavish labalayla. Really hold eino the magdish lavish labalayla. It's really true. When the isha goes ahead and says my maisi deha, right, is kaidesh, right, is kaidesh, and the hands are kaidesh. Why? Because any kainim, any hegdish has the capacity to go ahead and take over shibud. So even though you say that hands are meshubah to the Baal, they're not meshubah to the Baal. They're not meshubah to the Baal because of what? The act of kainim. Okay. Okay. Now, then it says the Gemara of ihachi lama lemishem yergershena. So what does it have to do with gerishin? So it's the second aspect of davar shabala. Tani v'oid shem yergershena. So in addition, maybe you'll get divorced. Okay, let's see Rashi over here. I want to see the round, guys. Damar Rava Hegdish, Kigoin. Asa Shar Apait, to give you about Baal Chayv. You made your shar first dibs to be collected from Baal Chayv. And then you magdish it for the carbon. Mafkir say Hegdish Shibud Amilva. The Malvis Shibud goes off. The Goy V'chayv Mimakam Acher will have to collect from another place. Bukash carbon, the animal's carbon. It doesn't belong to the other guy. Lehabi gosel. It's not like you stole it. Kivin lehabi konile, since you never acquired it. El gavaina ba'alma. It was only standing there for collection. V'dafka kedushas aguf. Al kedushas damen leberek abayis loy mafkash shibud. Kidnam be'erechim be'perek shuma yisaimim. Moisav v'dinu poides and the chasam alalu. Shem higdish aloy v'nechasav. Shem moisav amal v'dinu. The mal v'yetz v'dinu halabasai upoides and the chasam. P'fei maris ayin shlayomru higdish yoytze b'lei pidyon. The guy v'choy v'kach kosev Rashi zechrein levracha. The perek afalpi. Al Rabbeinu times zechrein levracha cholik alav shafilu higdish damim mafkim leishibud vein kamakam hayrach. I agree. Okay, so that would be the teretz to the kasha. That would be the teretz to the kasha. That kainamis is different. Let's go to do the top line at the top of the page. Elam Ravashi shiny kainamis the kedushas aguf damyan. Shari hein ki kedushas hamizbeach, because it's just like make hegdush to mizbeach. Tichechi the kiddush hamizbeach ein lem pidyon kachein pidyon lekainam. Shari mutter lemishin eser love, that it should be mutter to the one that he asked it to. The kivin the kainam kedushas agufu mafkia midei shibud. Shehi mishabedes labal. It takes off the shiba that she is mishabed to the husband. V'chayil. Umishmachi pasuk shmul krab yachim menuri. I forgot this relay the Shmuel. As I said, they know the Magdash Davish Labalim, as he says, like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla, the Yad Isha Isnu Boilam, since the hands are in the world, Umatzi Makachal Bekainam, Shahu Mafkia Mide Shibud. And since the hands are in the world, and therefore you can be mafka the shibud that the Baal has on the hands, well, come on, Parachim came, but in the Gerishim, which we'll see in a second. Okay? So guys, what was the final teretz to the kasha? Outside, I spoke a lot. Let's go. Final teretz to the kasha. We have a stira. What's a stira? Let's go through the stira. In our Mishnah, the Rabbi from Nuri said that what? You have to take it off, maybe you'll get divorced. Right? You have to take it off, maybe you'll get divorced. Right now, why does all you have to take it off? It's because that what? Obviously she has koyach to go ahead and make it also. It's mishubah to him. And that we're answering that what? That since her hands are there, and since her hands are mishubah to him, but when she says koinim on her hands, that is mafkia the shiba that she has, thus making it hers, and thus she can answer it that he would have to take it off. Good. Now we have to just deal with the gerushin part, and that. But really, he holds, the magdash davish le'olam, as it says in the Mishnah that he holds like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. So that answers the stira. So now it says over here, Kani vayit shem yigoshen. What is that going on? Let's see the run. Vayit shem yigoshen kamar mehashta nami kodesh. The koinim mafkia minishibud the baal. Uchelish tim sulaima the almuri abon l'shibudi the baal. The tachtov, the shabya kelekeach gomer v'loy kimilva, that the baal is like he bought her hands, not like that her hands are alone to him. I feel hachi offer. Nonetheless, he could divorce that. He could take them off. Shema yirgashena. Maybe what he will divorce. He will divorce her. Okay. So in other words, you might think that the shibud that you have is not a halva. In other words, like this. My case with Dak. I didn't lend the field to Dak. I sold the field to Dak. If her hands are sold to her husband, just like I can be Magdish, she won't be able to be Magdish. So even if you're going to say that her hands are what sold to the husband, right? You're not worried that they weren't not. You're going to say that they didn't make the hands like a lekeach. They only kept like a milva. Nonetheless, yafa, you have to go ahead what and take it off because shemi yigashena. Because maybe you'll go ahead and divorce her. Okay, and it says in Perak Alpha P and Ksubis. Okay. So that's the Gemara. I think we have a million. We have a million. That's like Kodesh Baruch Hu Zakas Yisrael. The Fikach Hem Toim Shnema Adnech Feitz Man said Koi.